What's up, guys? Reapshow here. So today I wanted to do a ranking of every version of Jason Voorhees. I will primarily be focusing on adult fully grown Jason. Won't really be including any child versions of Jason, mainly because I could really do an entire ranking and list of those versions of Jason because it varies so much from film to film. Won't be including Roy or any body swapping victims from Jason Goes to Hell. I will also be doing a ranking of the different actors that portrayed Jason, but I thought it would be fun just to kind of dive into the overall look, aesthetic, and designs of the various versions of Jason. So, without further ado, let's get in this list here. Bottom of the barrel, number 12. Uber Jason from Jason X here. Never been my favorite design. I've said this before that, Jason X just doesn't really feel like a Friday film to me. That's why I don't really enjoy it. I totally understand why, people are able to enjoy it. For me, it just does not align with my personal taste and what I look for in a Friday film. It's really the only Friday film that I just can't enjoy, and I wish I could, because everybody else seems to find something to enjoy in it. Not saying there's nothing in it I don't like, but it's the weakest one for me, and the design is right there with it. Uber Jason, it just feels very Power Ranger Jason to me. It's too over the top. You have to make too many leaps and bounds, to really enjoy it. I mean, this is not a reflection of Kane. I think Kane Hodder does a great job in the role, and I get it within the context of the film. This is Jason Goes to Space. I totally get taking it that far. I get it. I don't like the design. It's not one that I really connect with or have fun with. So that's why it's number 12. Number 12, Uber Jason. Number 11, Jason Goes to Hell. This one, in the past, probably would have been last for me. It's climbed up slightly because I can appreciate the effort that went into the design of Jason in this film. They really, went for broke with the overall design. I just think they overdid it. Don't love the swollen look. I do like the fact that his mask has been sunken into his face, because it's just been on his face for so long that it's become part of his face. Some of the different concept drawings kind of show what his face looks like underneath. It's just bone, right? I think that's awesome. Would have loved to have the mask be that silver mask from the poster that doesn't really make it into the film. But yeah, the coveralls, I get it. This is coming off the heels of Manhattan, so that does align up continuity wise, but like I said, I just think they kind of overdo it a little bit, but I can appreciate the effort that went into the design of him. Number 10, the traditional design of Jason in Jason X. This is another one that doesn't, he feels, if Jason Goes to Hell felt too far out of the box, this one feels too simple and normal. His face, aside from when they actually show his face, looks too normal. His ears, his eyes, his hair. Overall, he's very brightly lit, and I just don't really like the mask personally. Just the look of it, the shape of it. Like I said, you see a lot of his eyes and you see a lot of his face, and he's very brightly lit, and I think it hurts the look, right? And that's why it's towards the bottom for me. Not much else I can say about the look there. It's just never been one that I really like or go back to. So number 10, Jason X again. Now, number 9, Freddy vs. Jason, Ken Kersinger. In the past, I used to like this look a little more than I do now. Not that I dislike it, but The mask is a little bit cosplay, you know. I kind of like the fact that he's got the blackened skin, but it is very orc-like, you know. It does feel less familiar than what we've seen with Jason in the past. And his like wardrobe as well does also feel a little bit like a costume at times. You know, but it's not the worst. It's just it is towards the bottom for me, you know. So that is why it is at number 9. Number 8, Jason Takes Manhattan, Kane Hodder. Now, this one's tough because I feel that if it didn't come right off the heels of one of the best designs of Jason, in my opinion, that being The New Blood, I think that I would appreciate it more. But it's always a disappointment right after New Blood, because it's like, okay, his clothes have grown back somehow to cover up any wounds or anything that they would have to apply more practical effects to, obviously, right? He's just wet all the time. That's cool. It's the face looks terrible, absolutely horrible, inexcusably bad, honestly. You know, like you see his hands at times and it looks very normal, right? Which is kind of annoying, you know. And like I said, it's just such a downgrade from New Blood that's why it's always, I have like a negative feeling towards it. When if you look at it on its own, it's kind of cool. It's the face is bad, but if you just look at it on its own, it's not bad. It's just it's a direct coming right off of New Blood. It's just, like I said, it's just a downgrade to me. So that is why Manhattan is at number 8. Number 7, The New Beginning Flashbacks with Tom Morga. This one is pretty good, pretty solid. It does feel like a final chapter light. It doesn't really, you know, it's not bad, but it's not Ted White, I'll tell you that much. And also when you see his hands, they're so visibly human that it's just like, okay, like, you know, his hands, like his nails were like blackened, and his hands in here look way too normal. It's not terrible, but it's middle of the road for me, you know, and there's not a whole lot of it. You know, it's mostly Roy in the film, so these are just very quick flashbacks, right? So I think they get the job done, but it doesn't really stand out, in my opinion. Interestingly enough, you get Tom Morga that also did Michael Myers in 4, so a little crossover there. So like I said, middle of the road, doesn't stand out for me, but it's not bad. So number 6, Friday the 13th 2009, Derek Mears. Absolutely love the intensity and the physicality he brings to the role here. Baghead Jason has never looked better. I mean, he looks incredible, like with the baghead, right? The mask I think is fine. I don't think it's bad. I don't like that we see so much of his face and so much of the back of his head. But I do like the overall design. Like I said, it's just one of those ones that just is kind of middle of the pack. Doesn't stand out too much, but Baghead Jason in this film, in my opinion, does stand out. I kind of would have liked to have seen him just baghead the whole film, because he was freaking terrifying with the baghead, and he's still cool with the mask, but yeah, really like the Baghead Jason in 2009. So number 5, CJ Graham from Jason Lives. I really like Carpenter Jason. I really like the overall aesthetic where he's got the belt, he's got the gloves. You know, this is where we're first getting zombie Jason, you know. Love the look of his face. I really do like that look. He's a little slow and stilted, but it works for me because he's zombie Jason, right? So that's fine. You know, he does move fast in some moments too, right? But yeah, I really do like this overall look of Jason. It's definitely up there for me. It's top 5, right? The mask is cool. You know, I love the continuity with the slash in it. Yeah, I do enjoy it. It's definitely up there. but there are just some ones that I like slightly more. So, number 4, Friday the 13th Part 2, Steve Dash and Warrington Gillette. Now, I've always been a big fan of Part 2. I really like the fact that Jason has, like, his look has changed so drastically in the first 3 films of this franchise. Like, I can't think of a major horror franchise that was as enormous as Friday that the main killer had changed its looks so drastically from film to film in the first 3 films. I mean, it's pretty wild, and they continued to succeed. But I really like this look of Jason, the bag head, the kind of homage to Town That Dreaded Sundown, like that he's living in the woods, the overalls, and I like that he's scrawny and smaller. It's kind of almost scarier because he feels more, it's creepier, that he's kind of more, less physically imposing, but very creepy in terms of the visual aesthetic when you get the reveal of his face, right? It's a pretty wild reveal. One of the best in the franchise, honestly. A really good reveal. And I really like with Steve Dash, because it was mainly Steve Dash. Gillette did some stuff, but having to only see through that one eye hole, pretty tough. And the adhesive on his face, I guess it kind of burned his cheek, and it just kind of left a scar on his face. So the dude's a trooper for really being able to run through the woods looking through a potato sack with one eye hole. Not easy, right? So always have loved this version of Jason. Always have loved Baghead Jason, and that's why it is at number 4. Number 3. This is such an incredible version of Jason, and that is the New Blood Kane Hodder. This version of Jason is absolutely fucking incredible. Love the bones, love the spine glistening in the sunlight. I love the look of his face. I know some people are mixed on it. They think he looks like a frog. I love the fact that you see his bones and he looks like a monster. I mean, because he is, obviously, right? He's been at the bottom of this lake, right? So he would be decomposing. But yeah, from head to toe, love the fact that they have incorporated all the damage that he sustained throughout all of the films. Love what Kane Hodder brings to the role as well. The physicality. Some people, I think the overall consensus for the longest time was that he reigned supreme, but I think now people are settling into maybe, he is a great Jason, but maybe he's not the one and only Jason, right? But I do love this version of Jason, and I love this design. It's absolutely incredible design of Jason. And that is why it's at number 3. Number 2, Friday the 13th Part 3, Richard Brooker. This is where you first get the mask. This is where you get the design of Jason that we all pretty much envision Jason to look like, for the most part, right? Richard Brooker brings a physicality and a lumbering, svelte nature to him, where he's quick and fast, and he's creepy, and he brings what Steve Dash brought to the role, while also bringing a physicality to the role as well that I really appreciate. Love the fact that he gets this mask from Shelley. Like I said, it's wild that stuck, It's almost weird to think, how come they didn't just keep trying to change the look, right? But I think they were just trying to settle on a look to be the consistent look instead of constantly changing it. From a marketing standpoint, that makes sense, right? But yeah, Part 3 is close to being the definitive quintessential Jason for me. It's the first level of it, but it's not the final level of it. The final level of it, number 1, is Ted White from Final Chapter. This is quintessential Jason for me. He rides that line between he's not quite zombie Jason, right? But he's close. And because I really love zombie Jason, but I also really like human Jason, which is Richard Brooker. So you take a look at Richard Brooker and you take a look at like Kane Hodder or CJ Graham. Ted White is right in the middle, right? He has that physically imposing presence that I love Richard Brooker, but he has this kind of like almost slightly clumsy aesthetic to him that you get from part 2 as well, right? So I can appreciate it, but I really love what Ted White brings to the role here. The overall look of Jason, his face, this is my favorite facial reveal of Jason. I think that it looks the best because it looks close enough to what he looked like as a child, but still looks cool. And it also, he has all the damage from all the other films, right? So I really do like this version of Jason from head to toe. This is my quintessential Jason here. Number 1, Ted White. That's my list. What are your guys' rankings here? Let me know in the comments. I'm gonna continue to be doing these rankings here, so look forward to seeing more. That's it for now. Peace, guys.